I have sent last night, no?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Ma'am.
It is not there? Huh? Okay, just after the class, actually I have sent, after seeing your message, I have posted the full PPT for the entire chapter 1, but I don't know, here I can see that it is delivered. It is delivered, but how can I not see that? I will just verify it after the class is over and again I will repost it. Okay, no problem. So what we have discussed, let me first come over the points that we have discussed in the last classes. That we have discussed what is economics. Do you have any doubt what has been discussed in the previous class? Do anybody have any doubt regarding any concept? Yes or no?
No, ma'am.
No. Okay. So what we have discussed, what is economics? Then we have just look at the, can you now see the PPT?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Then we have discussed what is microeconomics and macroeconomics. In general, micro deals with the individuals and macro deals with the aggregate economy as a whole. While under microeconomics, we are studying the behavior of the individual economic units like behavior of consumer, producer, distributor, and the farms, industries. But under macroeconomics, we are studying the behavior of the economy in general. Okay. And here we can study what is the price, general price level, general employment level, the financial condition, national income, all these things, they come under the macro study. Okay. Then we have discussed about the positive economics and normative economics, where positive economics is a positive, both micro and macro, they can have positive economics and normative economics. And under positive economics, we are studying about the objective, it is an objective study where what is happening. We are having the situational analysis. What is there and what will be there, but we are also predicting. But under normative economics, we are discussing the cases of what should be, or the policy prescriptions are there under normative economics. Okay. Then obviously before having any normative analysis, positive analysis is very much essential, because unless you can know what is the situation, how can we have the policy prescription? Okay. So for any normative analysis, positive analysis, it precedes the normative analysis. Before having a normative analysis, we have to do positive analysis. We have to study the situation. We have to see the values, what is there. Suppose take the case of the income. We can, after knowing the, suppose you want to do something for the poor people, there will be regarding, suppose food subsidy is to be given, whether it will be given or not, then the level of consumption, level of income, that has to be studied. So study of level of consumption, income, they come under positive economics, and whether food subsidy will be given, that will come under the normative analysis. Okay. Then we have discussed how we are going to study economics, because to answer many problems of the society, we have to, even if it has a wide scope, economics has a wide scope for each and every people, because all the economic units, they consider a person may be an individual consumer or producer or distributor, or he may be, so obviously every individual is a consumer. Every individual may not be a producer, but he is a consumer, and they are also a part of the factors of production. They are contributing their labor to the production process. Okay. So we have to study economics to solve almost each and every economic problem which is related to scarcity and choice. Okay. Then as economics is a study of scarcity, and because resources are very much limited and the need is unlimited, so and they have got alternative uses. So we are studying economics to have optimum utilization of resources. So from these three things, that is, human wants are unlimited, resources are limited, and the resources have alternative uses. From these three things, we have the basic economic problems. Basic economic problems, that is, what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. Whether, then the fourth question is whether the resources are efficiently utilized or not, and fifth is whether there is economic growth or not, or the economy is stagnating. And on the what to produce, we have to see this is an allocation problem. What type of goods and services are produced by the economy with the limited resources, and by how much? What will be the quantity? Both the type of commodity as well as the quantities of the commodities are discussed, are to be answered by this question. That is what to produce. That is the question of choice. Then under how to produce, we have to discuss, or the economic discuss about the technology of production and who will produce. That is whether the labor intensive technology will be utilized or capital intensive technology will be utilized, or whether it will be produced under the private sector or under the public sector, or whether there will be monopoly market or oligopoly market or duopoly market or a profit competition. That is also that has to be also considered on this how to produce. Okay. Then for whom to produce, who will receive the product, who will, because depending upon the nature of the population, depending upon the income level of the people, the need of the people are different from person to person. And normally a poor people demands more of the necessary commodities, while the rich people, he spends a very less portion of his income on necessaries and a larger portion of his income on luxuries. So what type of goods are to be produced? And that also answers the question of for whom to produce, what type of goods to be produced, and by how much. That also answers for whom to produce. And this depends upon the transfer, distribution of income. Distribution of income, national income. This takes place on the basis of the distribution of class, how national income is distributed amongst the individuals, how much one is getting, how much income one is getting, that determines his purchasing power, and also that determines the question of for whom to produce, who will receive the product. Okay. Then whether the resources are efficiently utilized or not, that then comes to the next question, because unless the resources are fully utilized and efficiently utilized, then it is not possible to produce the maximum, or we cannot use the resources in the most productive way. We cannot use it. So there is not only it is the question of how to produce and for whom to produce and what to produce, but the resources should be utilized in such a way so that the maximum can be attained. This should be most efficiently the factor in which line it has got maximum productivity. It should be utilized for that production of that commodity. Okay, or it should be utilized or engaged in the production of that commodity. That is, it should be efficiently utilized. Then we have also discussed whether the economy is attaining, because of this allocation and of resources or choice of technology, and also distribution of income, whether the economy is growing or not. That means whether more of all goods and services are produced or not. With the passage of time, whether the amount of goods and services which are available in the economy are increasing or not, because the growth of the economy depends upon it is measured by what? By gross domestic product. The growth of the economy is measured by gross domestic product, or GDP is the indicator, and whether we have to see whether the GDP is increasing or not. But what is GDP? GDP is the value of the total goods and services, value of the total final goods and services produced in the economy in a period of time. It is the value, GDP is the value of the final goods and services produced in the economy during a period of time. Okay, so these questions we have discussed. And these are the five basic problems of an economy, and we have to answer about the economists, they have to answer, or economic analysis has to have focus on these five questions: what to produce, how to produce, for whom to produce, whether the resources are efficiently utilized or not, and whether the economy is capable of attaining more and more growth, whether there is growth of the economy or the economy is retarding, or it is stagnating. That is also another question. So 5 questions are there. And what we have seen, the next question comes, what we have seen, the economic problems are not that much simple. Every factor depends upon a number of other factors. Because suppose take the case of production of rice. Production of rice depends upon what is the soil condition, what is the area which is under cultivation. It depends upon what is the rainfall. It depends upon what is the quality of the seeds used in the production process. It depends upon what is the technology which is used in the production process. It depends upon the amount of fertilizer which is used in the production. So it depends upon a number, and it also depends upon the demand for the product. It also depends upon demand for product. Okay, so it depends upon a number of. So if you want to study, suppose whether the rice production on the production of rice, the demand for rice is how much it is impacting, or what is the effect of demand for rice on the production of rice. So it depends upon not only demand for rice, but the production of rice depends upon a number of other factors. And it is not possible to segregate all the factors, what is the impact of all other factors, and simultaneously, but we have, if you want to study the impact of a single factor, we have to keep the other factors as constant. Or we have to assume the situation where the other factors will remain constant, that is the price of the rice or the fertilizers used, area under cultivation, rainfall, all these things they have to, under ideal situation or under a particular situation where those we have to keep certain things as constant or given, and then only you can find what is the impact of a particular factor on the production of rice. Okay. Here comes the question of economic model. So to simplify the analysis, it is not possible to analyze because economics is social science. It deals with the society, and the society there is a number of phenomena which is affecting an economic variables. It is not that much easy to directly analyze the values. So for that reason, the economists, they formulate the models. And if they use models are they assume certain variables are assumed to be constant or given, and the economists, they want to determine some of the values, determine the value of the sum of the variables. Okay. So on the basis of that, if in economic models, we can in an economic model we have two types of variables. We have exogenous variables whose values are given, and endogenous variables whose values are have to be determined, whose values have to be determined. Exogenous are values are given, again I am repeating, and endogenous the values are have to be determined. Okay. So these things we have discussed up to this point. Here, am I correct? Here,
Yes.
we have discussed up to this point. So now let us find out to have this analysis. What are the analytical tools? There are mainly three analytical tools, key analytical tools to have economic analysis. They are constant optimization, equilibrium analysis, and comparative statistics. Constant optimization, equilibrium analysis, and comparative statistics. Okay. Then the question comes, what do you mean by constant optimization? What do you mean by constant optimization? While defining economics, I have told you that economics is the study of scarcity of resources and the optimum utilization of resources. Scarcity of resources and optimum utilization of resources. So because of the scarcity of resources, every economic unit, while fulfilling their objective, their goal, they face certain restrictions or constraints. They face certain restrictions or constraints. And in this model, what you have to do, given the constraint, how the economic unit's goal can be achieved. Given the constraint or given the restrictions, how the economic unit will be capable of attaining his goal, his or her goal. Okay. Suppose take the case of a consumer. What is the goal of the consumer? What is the goal of the consumer? Who can say? Raise your hand. What is the goal of the consumer? Prachi? Yes. What is the goal of the consumer? Vipul?
And to satisfy his wants with the minimum with minimum income in
What is his goal? What is his goal? What is his objective? What is the objective of a consumer? What is his goal?
Ma'am, to fulfill their needs, their wants.
To fulfill their needs.
Yes.
Isa, you say what is?
Ma'am, to you maximum utilization of what he is getting in within his income.
Okay. Actually, so suppose what is the goal if you are talking about? I am just giving this economic words to this. All of you have said correctly. I am just giving economic words to it. The goal of the consumer is to get satisfaction. What do you want? Do you want satisfaction? Isn't it? Suppose you are studying. What is the ultimate goal? You want to derive satisfaction. The goal of the consumer is to maximize his satisfaction. The goal of a consumer is to maximize his satisfaction. Similarly, what is the goal of a producer? Who can,
Ma'am, to produce quality products.
they are the goal of the producer. Always they want to have
Minimize the cost.
minimize the cost. Very good. One of the goal of who said this? Minimize the cost.
Ma'am, Afrin.
Very good. So actually, one of the goal of the producer is to minimize the cost. Minimize the cost. Okay, very good. Then what more? Why profit maximization? So actually, the ultimate goal is to, why he is trying to minimize cost, he wants to maximize profit. The goal of the producer is to maximize profit. Then the question, what is profit? Or what is profit? Who can say? All of you are students of commerce?
Ma'am, sales, increase in sales.
No. What is profit? How you are defining profit? What is profit?
Ma'am,
Raise your hand. Raise your hand. I want to see how many of you want to participate. Raise your hand. Yes. What is profit? Avranil, you say. You have not yet answered any question. Avranil, you say.
Ma'am, revenue minus all the expenses, that is profit.
So profit is revenue minus cost. Revenue is what the producer is getting after selling his product. Or what the producer is getting after selling his product, that is revenue, and cost is what the cost or what is the payment he is making to produce the product. Then the question comes, how can you find out revenue? What is revenue? Who can say? What is revenue? How to calculate revenue? Total revenue that he will receive. Who can say? What is the total revenue? How to calculate this? All of you are commerce students. What is total revenue? We shall discuss in following chapters. We will discuss these things, but let us know how many of you know before all these things. Nobody can say what is total revenue, how to calculate the total revenue that the producer will get or the seller will get. I think you can just have a thought. You can know. All of you know this. All of you know this. No? Still no? So,
Ma'am, total sold of goods.
Total?
Sold of goods.
Total goods sold.
Ma'am, quantity sold into price.
Yes, that is the Kriti, you told, na? Who said?
Ma'am, Anandita.
Anandita, very good. So total revenue or what a seller gets, he sells a product at a price. He sells the product at a price. So obviously what amount he will receive. Suppose I am selling potato at 20 rupees per kg and I am selling 5 kg of potato. How much revenue I will get? 20 into 5. So price into per unit price into quantity sold gives the producer the revenue. So total revenue is price into quantity. So why I am telling all these things? Because the goal of the producer is to maximize profit, and profit is the difference between the total revenue and total cost. And total revenue is the price into quantity of the commodity he will sell, and the total cost is the amount of payment that he is making to the factors of production to produce the product. Okay. So as who said the goal of the producer is to minimize cost. He can maximize. Ultimate goal is to maximize profit. Ultimate goal is to maximize profit. Okay, but he can do this in 2 ways. A producer can do this in 2 ways. How? Because profit is the difference between the
Revenue and cost.
Revenue and cost. Profit is revenue and minus cost. So profit is revenue minus cost. Then what is revenue?
Price into
Price into quantity. Price into quantity minus cost. So this will be maximum if R is minimum or R is maximum or C is minimum. Is not it? the producer can maximize his profit in two ways. If you will minimize the cost, then the difference will be maximum. What is the goal of the producer? To maximize the difference between R and C. To maximize the difference between R and C. So he can do this in two ways. One is, if you will keeping C constant, if you will maximize R, okay, okay. Suppose you just see X and Y, we are taking two values, X and Y. Suppose one is 100, another is suppose 25, 23. 100 minus 23 is how much? 100 minus 23 is?
77.
77. So you just see, we want to, this is suppose profit. See, this is the revenue, this is the cost. If by keeping 23, we will increase this amount, 100 will increase 100. Suppose instead of 100, we are making it 120. What will happen to this? This will become 97. This will become 97, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
So if you will increase R, then the difference will be increased. Keeping C constant, one way. Another way is, suppose 100 is there, R is same as before, but we are minimizing this. We are instead of 20, we are making it 23, we are making it 13. Again, this will also increase to 87. From 77, it will increase to 87. Got the point? So the profit of the producer can be increased, or the goal of the producer is to maximize profit. Profit is the difference between revenue and cost. And he can attain this objective in two ways. One is by minimizing cost. Other is, if this is minimum, or if this is R is maximum. Keeping X constant, if this is maximum. This is constant. Cost will remain constant. Okay. This will remain constant and R will be maximum. But normally P is given. Price of the unit of the commodity is given. So what the producer wants to do for maximizing profit, if the cost is constant, he can do that by maximizing Q. We shall come to later. But this objective function can be. So objective of the producer, number one can be to maximize profit. Second is to minimize cost when the output level is given. Or two, he can, when the cost level is given or his investment amount is given, he can do this maximization of profit by maximizing the output. Remember only this much. Maximization of profit can be done to maximize profit. Maximize profit in two ways. One is by minimizing cost. By minimizing cost when output level is given. Given the output level. Given the output level is given means automatically revenue level is also given. Okay. Maximize profit. You can maximize profit by minimizing cost when the output level is given. Okay. Another way is you can also maximize profit by maximizing output. Maximizing output when amount of cost is given the cost. But how much you will invest is given. How much? Don't worry. I will repeat these things in future in production and cost. Don't worry. Just have some idea while I am saying about the constant optimization. So constant optimization has two parts. One is the objective function. Second is the constant function. Why there is constant? Because there is scarcity, problem of scarcity. Every economic unit, whether he is a producer or a consumer or government, everybody faces restrictions or constraints. And if he is a consumer, he has to his objective is to maximize profit given with the minimum or the amount of income that he has. With the amount, so restriction is his income. Restriction is his income. With the limited income, every individual, they have got limited income. So with the limited income, they cannot satisfy all the wants they have. So they would like to maximize their satisfaction given the level of income. Okay. Similarly, if he is a producer, he would like to maximize profit, or if he would like to minimize cost by maximizing output given the cost. Okay. So under objective function, we said how all these things. So when he is having maximum, We shall now come to these problems. Now come to this constant maximization problems. Any doubt? Any doubt?
No, ma'am.
So again, I'm repeating, constant optimization problem has two parts. One is the objective function, which shows what is the goal of the economic unit. The objective function reflects the goal of the economic unit, and the constant function, which represents the scarcity or the restriction that the economic unit is facing. Got the point? Again, I'm repeating, constant optimization has two parts. One is objective function, which represents the goal of the economic unit, and another part is constant function, which represents the restrictions or constraints that the economic unit is facing. All right. Now come to this. We have in the last class we have discussed about this problem, isn't it? We have discussed about this problem. Just go through this problem again. Here you have to find out what is the objective function, what is the constant function, what are the exogenous variable, what are the endogenous. Okay? Can you do that? Can you do that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Then read this. In the last class, we have also discussed this problem, and we have seen that a farmer wants to, just I'm reading it again, a farmer, can everybody see the slide? Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Just go through. This is the problem. This is just go through this. Suppose a farmer plans to build a rectangular pen for his sheep. And what is the restriction? He has 8 feet of fence with him. He cannot purchase more. He has 8 feet of pen with him. He cannot purchase more. So what has to do? He has to choose the size of the pen so that he can accommodate maximum number of sheep. He can he wants to choose the dimension or the length and width of the pen so that the area of the pen will be maximum. He wants to maximize the area. He wants to keep maximum pen. Sheep means what? He wants to maximize the area of the pen. So what is his objective? Who can say? What is his objective? Raise your hand. Raise your hand. What is his objective? Just read the problem. A farmer wants, what is objective? Objective function. Objective function is, what is the goal? What is the goal?
To build a fence for the sheep.
To build a pen for his sheep. Very good. To build a pen, but what will be the, regarding, he wants to build a pen, but add one more word. He wants to build.
With the given fence, given amount of fence.
No. What is goal? That will come under restriction. What is his goal?
Maximize the area.
Maximize the area of the pen.
Maximize the area of the pen.
Very good. So he wants to maximize the area of the pen. Maximize the area of the pen. Okay. So his goal is to maximize, what will be the, if L is the length of the pen and W is the width of the pen, what is the area of the pen? What will be the area of the pen? Who can say? All of us have already studied this after class 4 or 5.
L into W.
L into W. Very good. It will be L into W. Okay. So now you can write objective function is maximize L into W. Maximize area of the pen, or maximize, goal is, or objective function is maximize the area of the pen, or maximize L into W. Okay. We have then what is the constant function? What is constant? What is constant?
I mean, he has F feet of
Fence.
fence.
Very good. He has 8 feet of
Fence.
fence. He cannot purchase more. He cannot purchase more. He has 8 feet of fence. So amount of 8 feet of fence with him is the restriction or constant. So with the 8 feet of pen, he has to decide what will be the length and width of the pen. Okay, and so that the area will be maximum. So now, can you say me? Can anybody say how to? As we have expressed the objective function that maximize L into W. Similarly, can you express the constant function? Can you be able to express the constant function? Anybody? Can you express it? So what if L will be the length of the pen and W is the width of the pen? So what will be the F is what? F will be what? F will be
Perimeter.
perimeter of the pen. F will be the perimeter of the pen, isn't it? So what is if L is the, we do not know the value of L and W, so we have to determine that. But given we have to determine the value of L and W in such a way so that the perimeter should not exceed F. So what is the perimeter?
2 into L plus W.
Very good. So a perimeter is 2 into L plus W. So now we can write the constant function. What will be the constant function? What will be the constant function?
Ma'am, F equal to 2 into length plus L plus W.
Actually, it will not be equal to, normally constant function means 2 into L plus W, 2 into L plus W, which is the perimeter, should not exceed F. Should be less than or equal to. Okay. 2 into L plus W or 2L plus 2W should be less than or maximum it can be equal to. He may have some amount of F with him extra, but he cannot go beyond that. Okay. Maximum he can utilize F amount of fence, F feet of fence. So 2 into L plus W should be less than or equal to F will be the constant function. Okay. Then tell me what are the exogenous variable?
F.
F.
F is the exogenous variable. Very good. F is the exogenous. What are the endogenous variables?
L and W.
L and W. Very good. Very good. So now we have answered all the questions. Now what is the objective function? Just see this. Objective function is maximize L, W or L into W. What is constant function? Subject to represents the constant, subject to 2L plus 2W is less than or equal to F. Less than or equal to F. So L and W, they are the endogenous variables, the values of which are to be determined by the farmer. And F is the exogenous variable, the value of which is given. He cannot, it is given, it is constant, he cannot change the value. Okay. Then now let us come to another problem. Take the case of a consumer. Right, all of you have pen and paper with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
yes, it's just right. A consumer has, I'm dictating, has income I. Consumer has income I. With I amount of income, he wants to purchase food and clothing. Food, F stands for food and C stands for cloth. Okay. A consumer has I amount of income. With his income, he wants to purchase food and clothing in such a way so that he can derive maximum satisfaction. He can derive maximum satisfaction. And when he is going to the market, he can, per unit price of food is PA and per unit price of cloth is PC. Per unit price of cloth is PC. Then tell me what is the objective function of this problem? What is the objective? What is the objective of the consumer?
Satisfaction.
Very good. To maximize satisfaction is his objective. Let us see that the satisfaction level is given by F into C, the product of the amount of food consumed and the cloth he is having, that gives the level. We may assume different relationship. We may assume that the level of satisfaction is equal to F plus C, or we can also even assume that L square plus, F square plus C. You can assume anyway, any function, but let us here assume that the level of satisfaction is equal to the product of the amount of food and the amount of cloth he consumes. Okay. So now we are adding the objective function as maximize satisfaction or utility, which is given by maximize satisfaction, that is F into C. Let us here assume that the satisfaction level is equal to the product of the amount of food and amount of cloth, F into C. Okay. Then what is the constant? What is the constant?
And he has the income of I.
Income. I is the constant. Okay. I is the constant. He cannot earn more. He has I amount of income. With the I amount of income, he can purchase F and C. Then, which variable in this problem are exogenous? Which are the exogenous variables which are given?
Income.
Ma'am,
Ma'am,
PF and PC and I are exogenous and F and C are endogenous.
Okay, okay, very good. So PF, PC, and I, these values are given, so they are exogenous variable, and F and C, they have to determine the value of amount of food and that he wants to purchase. He can purchase with his given income and the prices of the products. So the F and C, they are the endogenous variables. Okay. Now let us come to the last part of the problem. Write a statement of the constant optimization problem. Write what will be the objective function? How can you write it? Maximize what? Maximize
Satisfaction.
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 Given by F into C. Here we are assuming it is equal to F into C. Maximize FC. So our objective function is maximize FC. Okay. So what will be the constant function? Who can say? Raise your hand. I will ask. It's a little tricky. So let me know how many of you are. No, that is very simple, but you have to think. You have to be attentive. What will be, how to write the constant function? As you have written previously, 2k, 2l plus 2w is less than equal to f. Here, how to write this constant? I is constant is the constant, no problem. What is the constant? Income is the constant. But how to write the constant function? Who can say? Who can say? How to write the constant function?
Ma'am, I is equal to PF into F.
Raise your hand. Raise your hand. Raise your hand. I will ask. Okay. Ayush?
And PF plus PC is less than equal to I.
Again, repeat.
And PF plus PC is less than equal to I.
No. Then Amlan?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am,
Yes.
I is less than equal to F into PF plus C into PC.
Yes. So that is because if you will go to purchase F amount of food, how much he has to pay? He has to pay not F or not PF, but PF into F. He will purchase with the amount for purchasing F amount of food, he has to pay PF into F. Similar to purchase, if he is purchasing C amount of cloth, we do not know the value of C. C into PC is the amount he has to pay for cloth. And total amount is PF into F plus PC into C. So now you can write the constant function rightly that you have said that this is PF into F plus PC into C should be less than or equal to I. I cannot exceed. I cannot be more than I. So I cannot be more. So maximum he can spend is I. So PF into F plus PC into C should be less than or equal to I. Now any doubt? Any doubt? Please raise your hand. Whosoever is having any doubt, raise your hand. I will clarify. Got the point? All of you got the point? All of you got the point? Okay. So now switch over to the second tool, that is the equilibrium analysis. This is one type of analysis that we have studied. Now coming to equilibrium analysis. So equilibrium analysis actually is what is equilibrium? Well, equilibrium means is state of steadiness or stability. Normally equilibrium, by word equilibrium we mean that it is a state of stability or steadiness or staticness, like this. Okay. Payal and Ayush, you switch on your video. Payal and Ayush, Switch on. You cannot switch off your video. I have already told you in the last class. Okay. Payal. So under equilibrium analysis, that what is done, we have to see how the system is under stability. How the system is under stability. Suppose take the case of the market. Who are in the market? Who are in the market? They are the buyers and sellers.
Sellers.
Market is a place where the buyers and sellers they congregate. They may not be physically together, but their interaction between the buyers and the sellers take place in the market. And market is the place where they interact, buyers and sellers are interact. What is the function of the buyers? They demand the goods or purchase goods. And the sellers, buyers purchase goods and sellers, they sell the goods. They sell the goods, or the buyers, they demand the goods, and the sellers, they supply the goods. Okay? Okay? Got the point? And it's when we are talking of demand, we shall discuss in details afterwards regarding demand. But demand, what the consumer wants, or how one purchases. Obviously, all of us know that. Suppose we are going to purchase a commodity, and the price of the commodity has been increased. In that case, obviously, given the income, we will purchase less. If the price increases, we will purchase less of the commodity. And if the price will fall, we will purchase more of the commodity. Isn't it? Huh? When the price of the commodity rises, the consumers, they purchase less. And when the price falls, they purchase more. Because price is the cost to the consumer. When we are paying price, do you feel good? When you pay for the commodity, do you feel good? Are you happy? So this is a cost or sacrifice, because always a consumer wants that he should pay less price for the commodity. So always there is an inverse relationship. We shall study in details afterwards, but at this stage only remember this much, that the demand has inverse relationship with the price of the commodity. If we are concerned the relationship between price of the commodity and demand for the commodity, then they are inversely related. If the price will increase, then demand for the commodity will decrease, and if price falls, the demand will increase. Okay. So what will be the nature of the demand curve? All of us know that they are inverse related. So if we will take the x-axis, we will take the quantity, and on the y-axis, we will take the price. So what will be the shape of the demand curve? What will be the shape of the demand curve? Suppose like this, we are taking demand on the x-axis and price on the y-axis. All of you must have been drawn graph. Suppose this is the y-axis. This is suppose x-axis. Okay. And what will be the nature of the demand curve? We are taking price here and we are taking demand quantity demanded here. Suppose the price is P1. Suppose P1 is the price. P1 is price. P1 is price. Suppose it is here. Suppose this P1 is here. This here. When P1 is price, suppose quantity is Q1. This much is demanding. This is Q1. Q1. So where will be the point? You can have a point here. Isn't it? You can have a point here. When the price will fall to suppose P2, it will fall to P2. This will fall to P2. Suppose the quantity demanded will definitely increase. It will increase to suppose Q2. It will increase to Q2. when price has fallen to P2, suppose it has increased to Q2. You can have a point here. You can have a point here, Q2. When price will further fall to, suppose P3, his demand will increase to Q3. Similarly, that means what we have seen, if the price suppose is increased from P3 to P4, suppose from P3 to P4 price has been increased from P3 to P4, suppose is here. Suppose P4 is here. What will happen to demand? Demand will fall. Suppose this is P4, demand will fall to Q4, isn't it? So what I want to say that this price and demand, they are inversely related with each other. Price and demand, they are inversely related with each other. Simply you can have, I am drawing the straight line so that it will be easier. So this is, suppose this is demand curve. Similarly, if we talk of the supply and price, they are directly related. If the price of a commodity will increase, a supplier will definitely like to sell more. So they are, so it can be shown by a line which is sloping upward. So this is the supply curve. This is the demand curve. This is the supply curve. So this is the demand curve. This is demand curve. D is the demand curve. D is the demand curve, and this is the supply curve. This is the supply. This is the supply. Okay. So what we have seen, so demand and supply, they are inverse related with the demand and supply. One is inverse related with price, other is direct related with price, because price is the cost to the buyer. A buyer, when he is demanding, he is incurring cost by paying for the commodity. But for the seller, it is the gain. For the seller, it is the gain. Okay. So obviously, when it is the higher the price, higher amount of commodity will be offered for sale, and higher the price, lower amount of commodity will be purchased. Lower amount of commodity will be purchased. Okay. Now, can you understand this, the behavior of the supply curve and demand curve?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Then under the equilibrium analysis, actually, what is how to suppose take the case of a market. Market is a place where the buyers and sellers, they are interacting with each other, and they are interacting with each other. Here we are taking the quantity. Here we are taking the price. We are taking quantity on the x-axis, and we are taking price on the y-axis. And accordingly, the demand curve is sloping downward and the supply curve is sloping upward to show the relationship between price and quantity. Okay. If suppose price is P1, suppose you are taking here another price which is P1. P1 is the price. P1 is the price. At price P1, suppose P1 is here, what will be the demand? What will be the demand? You just see what will be the demand. What will be the demand? You just erect a perpendicular on the demand curve, isn't it? This point. And you just drop a perpendicular from this. Drop a perpendicular. This will be Q1. This will be Q1, obviously. This. So at price P1, Q1 will be demanded. But what is the supply? At price P1, what will be the supply? Who can say? Supply is how much? Just extend this line. Supply is QS1. Supply is QS1. QS1 is supply. Because the price is higher, the suppliers will like to sell more, but the demand for the commodity is less. So at price P1, demand is Q1, supply is QS1. This is QS1. QS1 is the supply. Okay. Then what is this situation? Demand is less, supply is more. So this is called as excess supply. This is the situation of excess supply. Excess supply. Okay. Supply is exceeding demand, or supply is more than demand at price P1. Supply is more than demand. This is the situation called excess supply. Supply is more than demand. Excess supply. Excess supply result in what? Who can say? If there is excess supply, what will happen? What will happen?
Loss of employment.
No. That is not. We are discussing about the behavior of the consumer and producer, or seller and buyer. We are discussing about the behavior of the buyer and the seller. At price is, suppose market price is P1. At that price P1, demand for the commodity is Q1, but supply of the availability of commodities QS1. Obviously, just look at the diagram. QS1 is much more than the Q1. So what will happen then?
Price will fall down until the equilibrium price when demand and supply are equal.
Price will definitely fall down, but what will be the result of this? Why the price will fall? Why the price will fall? There will be competition amongst the sellers. As the price is high but the quantity demand is very low, so there will be competition. Supply is very high. Supply is high. So every seller will like to sell their product. Every seller will like to sell their product. Suppose you are going to a market and where availability of a particular product is vegetable is very high, but the demand for the vegetable is low. So every supplier will like to sell their vegetable. So competition amongst the sellers will result in reduction in price. Definitely you are true, that 100% correct. If price is P1, quantity demanded is Q1 and supply is QS1, it will result in fall in price. Why? Because there will be competition amongst the sellers to sell their product. So competition amongst, there is oversupply, excess supply. So competition amongst the sellers will result in reduction in price. So we shall continue with our discussion. So I will just go, because already time is over. I think 10:30 is already there. So can actually I have to finish this chapter today, but I couldn't. But I'm giving you the. We shall continue this discussion for the next class. Okay. Have a look at the PPT at home. Then it will be comfortable, and because you will have enough time now. Again, we have our class on, I think on Wednesday we have our class. Sufficient time is there. Go through this wherever and whenever you will find any difficulty, post your problem in the WhatsApp. I will give you reply. Okay. We shall continue with this, and also some problems we shall do in the next class. Okay. Have a great time.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
The recording has stopped.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Have a great day. Actually, what do we do?